record just while yeah. So sorry, I've come from dinner. I'm like, oh, and this lighting is not doing bits for me. Look really pale, look really weird. Um, but and Thomas, for goodness sake, make sure your bits are covered. Yeah. I turned around earlier, I was doing work and he was right there, and you could just see everything hanging out, and I was like, no one needs to see that. Oh, funny. So yeah, apologies first and foremost. I am aware, like it's disruptive anyway because I'm on holiday, but I never expected to get really poorly, probably in like the top three most sick I've ever been in my entire life. Did not expect that. So I appreciate everybody's patience this week. Everybody's just bearing with me. And also the well wishes as well. Like I couldn't reply to everybody. I know some have sent them on Instagram, some have sent them in the chat, but honestly, really, really appreciate that. So it's not the most enthralling Zoom we've ever done. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna throw it out there, but I want to go through. Well, hang on, let me get it up and then I'll take you through. Right, let me just make it massive. There we go. So I know this winter arc is still playing havoc with some people, and I feel like we've gone through some of the bits, but I'll recover briefly. So, things like walking pads could genuinely be a savior for those of you who believe that you might struggle, or again, if you're a single woman or you're used to going out on walks on your own in the summer, daylight hours, we don't have that now. So, that's a consideration. It might be for those of you who are in the gym. You might need to tag on some extra steps on the treadmill before or after a gym session. I'm a believer there's no right or wrong order to which way you do it. If you're going to do some cardio around your session, you choose the one where you know you're going to get it done. So for me, I would have to do it first because afterwards I would just leave the gym. But if you've got the discipline, ideally you would do it afterwards. So you'd put all the effort into strength training, then you would do your cardio afterwards. Like I say, for me, I haven't got the discipline. I would have to do it first, otherwise I would just leave. So again, it's just about getting it done. I don't think training sessions are really impacted. If anything, gyms are definitely quieter. If you train from home, probably not really that impacted. Potentially, if you are a teacher, still getting into the swing of things. But we've also got teachers in this program who are crushing it. So no pressure to the teachers, but it also can be done. So, and also we've got some that have been in before the holidays. It's just about getting back into it, isn't it? But before we go into the depths of it, I just wanted to shout out Catherine Tom, who is 7.5 kgs down, which is obviously amazing. Gemma, 6 kgs down, really close to that stone marker. Stacey, who has reached the stone down, and Amy, 20-mile run. There were quite a few runners, I feel like, in the week this week. And also a couple of you strong-haired ladies actually gathered together, which was absolutely incredible. So although I've not been as responsive, I have been seeing everything that's been going through. So that's incredible. And 20 miles run, like that's not a small feat, is it? Let's be honest. You're probably not going to find me running 20 miles anytime soon. I'm not going to lie. And then we've also got a welcome to Vicky and Sophie. Sophie's literally just joined today, and I didn't know if I was going to record this before or afterwards, so I'm glad I put her in because she might actually get a chance to watch this. So there you go, all of the welcomes. But what I wanted to go through, because I went through this with Katie in check-ins on Friday, and I think people forget about some of life's hacks. My slow cooker is a seasonal life hack. It's not just something that I turn to in the winter. I would also do it in the summer, in the spring, in the autumn, all year round. The reason being that I'm also exceptionally busy. This is one of the things I was most excited for, ironically, on this holiday, was not having to cook for myself, not realizing I was going to get motherfucking food poisoning. It's like, be careful what you wish for. I don't do that to myself, do I? But this is it, actually thinking. So, what I wanted to do is actually take you through some slow cooker recipes to give you a little bit of inspiration tonight. But if you haven't got a slow cooker, they are so bloody cheap. Like you could probably pick one up for less than 20 quid, and you can get different sizes depending on whether you're cooking for family. They're also a great hack for meal prepping where you can chuck in loads of ingredients, double everything up, and then it doesn't just have to do one meal. You can then easily have some for lunch the next day or dinner a couple of nights later. You can really spread it out. So I think as we're moving into slightly heartier meals, but you can still do this with exceptionally low calories. And slow cooker dinners are one of the best ways to cook with fresh ingredients where you just chuck it in for the most part. You don't have to do a huge amount to it. You go off to work all day and they are perfectly safe to be left. Do you know what I mean? Or if you work from home, leave it behind you in the background. But you can leave that thing on, go about your day, leave it on for 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever you need to. Come home, dinner's made. Aside from potentially chucking a bit of rice or potatoes or something like that, can literally be that easy. So work smarter, not harder. That's the kind of message I want you to think about today. And this is what I was going through with Katie. It's like, put it on. Do you know what I mean? Get to work, put it on. And as long as you're organized and disciplined with your food shopping and think about the ingredients up front of what you will need in the week, then these are fully livable recipes to just go buy on. So the first one, so what I'm going to take you through is 10 winter slow cooker recipes. So 500 calories maximum. Now, I have most of these calories are way under 500, but by the time you allow for your potatoes, your rice, a bit of veggies, whatever you want to add to it, that's where you kind of get into that kind of 500 calorie mark, but also high protein. I've included some suitable for vegans, meat eaters, pescatarians, vegetarians. Like I've kind of tried to make sure that I blanket the lot. So a chicken and lentil stew. By the way, lentils are so cheap. You buy them in big quantities and they are so easy and really, really high in protein. Now, obviously, the chicken is also high protein, but if you're a vegetarian or even if you just want to bolster the dish, not only is it going to, they kind of end up feeling like you're getting more bang for your buck in there, but they are such a good low calorie protein source. And lentils are really, really good for us. So don't overlook things like your lentils, even if I don't feel like necessarily as British people, we necessarily cook with them as much, but they are absolutely phenomenal to cook with. So this is just literally chicken breast, chopped tomatoes, red lentils, onion, carrot, celery sticks, chicken stock, your herbs going in there. That's it. You literally cannot get more straightforward of a dish if you tried. 362 calories, nearly 45 grams of protein, low in fat, low in carbs. You would add your carb source of choice to it. Lentils do kind of double up as a bit of a carb. So if you didn't want to and you wanted to keep it more like stewy soupy, you could definitely do that as well. If you wanted to add a little bit of rice to it, fine, or potatoes, whatever your choice is. But really, really easy, really, really tasty. Chili. Now, I don't tend to use the slow cooker for this. I don't know why. You know, when it gets set in your ways, but I do tend to do my chili on the hob. But I do leave it once I've chopped. Ugh, sorry. Five-star hotel internet over here. Right, I'm gonna try that again. Right, let me just make sure. Yeah, we're definitely still recorded. I'm hoping I've not missed the beginning, but if not, I'll share the slides. Hang on. How do I reshare? Hang on. Share. We'll try that again. Try that again. Right. Apologies if you are just joining now and you're watching it back and it's cut me off. Basically, the internet is not performing. But I do my chili on a hob, and all I do, it takes me less than 30 minutes to prep all of the ingredients, chuck it in a giant, giant pot. And again, I triple batch my chili and make the whole thing enormous. So it can either be frozen down, used again, or what I do is then live on it for lunch. Maybe Thomas and I'll have it for dinner again. Obviously, there's only two of us. You can do this for a family, whatever you want to do. But it takes you 30 minutes maximum to chop it all down, get it cooked off, and then I just leave it on the hob. So I probably ought to switch into slow cooker because it probably actually makes more sense. But there we go. So again, really pack your vegetables in. Anything, I think, slow cooker, don't be shy on vegetables because they are going to they're really going to like malt down really, aren't they? They're going to like digest really well. So, and also these are the kind of things where they're going to have a lot of herbs, a lot of spices, a lot of flavors going into the food. So pack in that fiber. I tried to make sure every single one of these meals had good fiber in. That is actually higher in fiber because I decided to add in the celery, courgettes, baby corn, and chopped. I've missed off that word there. Oh no, sorry, I'm just saying it's chopped. I was thinking that was another word, but this is it. Really, really straightforward dish. And I would have chili all year round, but chuck it in the slow cooker. Really easy to make. Now, turkey and veggie cottage pie, again, chuck in those veggies in, get them in. I mean, I think every cottage pie should have a lot of veggies in. I would also put, I think I forgot to put peas in, but I would definitely make mine with peas. Peas, another incredible protein source, any kind of pea for that matter, but peas in a freezer bag and they're deliberately frozen at source really, really quickly to maintain as many nutrients as possible, which, by the way, some people think frozen veg is not as nutrient dense as fresh veg. It's actually usually the opposite because it is frozen very quickly. As fast as they can get it frozen, it will be. So it actually retains more nutrients and it's a bit lazier. Do you know what I mean? It is a bit lazier than having to chop it up, but obviously do what you've got to do with your veggies. But this is it, making a shepherd's pie or a cottage pie. You could literally do it either way, one beef, one minced turkey, whichever way you want to do it, but you can do it with this, with your mashed potatoes. Do you know what I mean? You can do that easily. Now, this one, whenever I make a shepherd's or a cottage pie, I do tend to put a side of broccoli with it because it always feels weird that the potato's in it, but you are getting that carb source in it. So slightly higher in calories, but protein's also going to be good. The protein you will also be including from the potatoes as well. Not bad in terms of carbohydrates, your fats, and also your fibers in there. And I would definitely, like I say, personally put another fiber source on the side of this one as well. Spiced chicken and chickpea curry. So again, chickpeas, like I said, anything with the word pea in is a massive, massive clue for really low calorie, really high protein as a source that I think so many people forget about the peas when it comes to thinking about protein, especially if you're vegetarian or vegan or genuinely looking for low calorie options. Chickpeas, amazing. Kidney beans, anything beans or peas. You've got to be careful with things like baked beans because they usually tend to have a lot more sugars inside of them. But anything that's more of a raw form will do really well. So again, chicken breast, chickpeas, chopped tomatoes, onion, curry paste, chicken stock, easy. Easy. And then all you're going to do is add a little bit of coriander garnish, which I would definitely be doing, by the way. We're big coriander fans in this household, and also adding in your rice in there. So adding in your carb source to go with it. So for the record, this doesn't, sorry, Pip, I'm going to mute you, but this doesn't include the carb source in these macros. This is just what is going inside of that slow cooker. But I would just do the microwavable bags of rice. Again, if you're exceptionally busy, that's a really good hack for you guys as well. Beef stew. Now I've got my granny's crock pot, which has kind of been passed through the family. I say passed, I stole it from my mum because she can't cook. And I was like, this is wasted on you. She was my granny, your mum, but I'm having the crock pot. It's the only thing I wanted. I was like, I'm having the crock pot. So I do make mine in a proper crock pot that like goes in the oven. But again, I have done it where it can be done in the slow cooker. This is delicious. Now, I do add Guinness. So not the Guinness that you get in the cans, like the Guinness ale. I do add that into my stew. I'm not gonna lie. It makes it a taste sensation. But if you'd rather not put that in or you're considering child friendly or anything like that, absolutely fine. It is still delicious. You might even put in if I don't have anything like the Guinness available, which 9 times out of 10 I will just go out and buy deliberately, and they're like 4 for 3 at Morrison's, so I'll just buy them in bulk so I can always make them in the future. But things like Worcestershire sauce going in there as well. No real calories inside anything like that, or Henderson's relish. Thomas is a Henderson, so we have to say that for those in, is it South Yorkshire? Or Yorkshire? Yorkshire based. Oh no, he is South Yorkshire. There you go. So There you go. That's another little hack if you like that kind of Worcestershire, Henderson-y flavour. But again, really easy. Really, really easy. Chuck it in, away you go, and you come home and it's absolutely delicious. I would, my carb source of choice with this, again, you can put potatoes in it. I haven't included those. You can put those on the side or chuck them in. I would definitely get a giant Yorkshire pudding. I like my beef stew in a giant Yorkshire pudding, and that is my carb source of choice when I make this. You don't have to follow suit. You could choose something lower in calories, but that's typically what I would do. Moroccan turkey tagine. Now, we actually have a tagine. I've never used it. Full transparency, Thomas's mum bought us one back and we've never used it. If you have a tagine, you could use it or you just use a slow cooker. It's essentially a very similar kind of cooking process. So again, chickpeas, like this is another one. Turkey, really low in calories. It's a very lean white meat. This is the kind of thing we're getting those flavors, those herbs, those spices. Get more vegetables in if you like them. Chuck them in. They're great in this kind of thing. So again, less than 300 calories. You put your rice with it, easy does it. That's the sort of thing we're talking about. Slow cooker lentil and quinoa chili. So this is a vegan option. Now, I absolutely love, and I am a full meat eater, and I was well known at university. We used to have I think it was a Yates's, where you could actually order food and you could buy a 5 bean chili from that menu. And bear in mind, I'm old. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're going back a bit of time when I was at uni now, like almost half my life ago. I think it was over half my life ago. But you could buy a 5 bean chili for 2.99 on their menu. That is what I lived on during my lunches at university. So this kind of thing, fully testified, they are absolutely delicious, even if you like meat. Then they put the price up. After 6 months of me eating that nearly every single day, the fuckers put the price up. I'm still angry about it now. They put it up to the same price as the normal chili, and I was like, well, that defeats my object now. But really, like, good protein. And again, you can make this protein a lot higher. If you're happy with things like quorn, different things, put more beans in. Do you know what I mean? Put more different types of things in. Like that, like I say, there are definitely 5 beans available. So if you even want to get that protein up, then you can. Now, a little bit of a hack, I would say probably more for the vegans and the vegetarians. And somebody did ask me this the other week. Now, I testify to the fact I have never done it. I might buy some when we get back and actually see how I feel like it goes. But if you buy a plain protein powder, and again, be mindful if you are vegan to get the right, like vegan friendly protein powders, but obviously you could do this. I'm not saying you have to only do it if you're vegan. You can do it in normal circumstances as well. But you can actually put protein powder into your cooking. Like I say, I cannot say that I've tried it, but if you're thinking, okay, that's a bit lower in protein, I don't just want to have a protein shake or something like that. Could I add protein powder to my food? Yes, is the answer. And I have heard it does come out okay. Now, again, usually I like to try things before I vouch for them, but often that is what I have heard from other coaches who are vegan, who absolutely advocate for doing that. So it could be a consideration, something to try. Smoky paprika cod stew. So for the peskies, this one would be, and I would definitely eat something like this. I absolutely love fish pie, fish stew, all of the above. It's a bit of me. Like, look at that. I mean, does that not look like a taste sensation? Like, it looks phenomenal. But that's the kind of thing, again, where, and you can, again, chuck more vegetables in, get more in there, the more bang for your buck that you're getting. And this one's really low in calories. Like, that's less than 200 calories. By the time you put something else with it, you've got a really nice high protein, low calorie dish there that you put on while you're at work or doing what you were doing. And even obviously on the slow cooker, you've got the high low settings. So even if you think, right, get in from work, chuck it in, go gym, come back, that could easily be ready. So you can make it work around your day. Vegan lentil shepherd's pie, so very similar again. Again, considering things like the protein powder, if you wanted to try it in there, you might have to play with the consistencies. I'd probably say it's more safer with things like a slightly wetter dish, like a curry, that's where it's probably going to act a little bit more like a binding agent. So you might want to be careful with things like the shepherd's pie, but it could well work. So another consideration, this calorie amount does include the potato in there as well. So, but again, we're back onto the lentils and how great they are. Definitely use them. And then the final one is a chicken and black bean Mexican stew. So again, black bean, another brilliant, brilliant option if you are looking at bringing that protein quantity up. Now, there is a bit of when it comes to protein, there is a bit of a rule that in an ideal world, to over 30 grams in one intake, usually past 30 grams, your body can't synthesize it to put it to actual use. It doesn't go to full waste. You're still putting the protein into you. And if that's your only option, I'd rather you try and blast it up. Like I always have a high protein dinner. That's always going to be probably my highest point of protein. But in an ideal world, we would try and aim for higher protein at lunch, higher protein at breakfast, sorry, then at lunch, then at dinner, maybe even a little bit of small amounts throughout the day, rather than, for instance, going 60 grams at dinner, 60 grams at breakfast. It just might not synthesize through you in the same way as somebody that actually dots it out a bit throughout the day. So that's the only consideration, that beyond a certain level, it's not going to be as actively available for you. So questions, anyone that is on, and I know, hang on, let me just go back to Leanne's. So Leanne asked me earlier, why you should be eating more to fuel your body. My parents can't believe how much I eat and think starving yourself is the way to go. My mum eats nothing but isn't losing weight and won't listen to me. Now, I have a bit of a rule here. Anyone that says they are starving themselves, or where you think they are starving themselves and they're not losing weight, the reality is they're not starving themselves. They're not in an energy deficit. You have to be in an energy deficit to actually drop the body fat. Okay, that's the only way, or any weight for that matter. And usually, somebody that thinks they're starving themselves, what they're usually doing is they've got one, no idea of how many calories they are actually consuming, which is why tracking macros and calories should be the only way to do this. And I've literally had, I think, two conversations with women. One of them was the lady that was doing my nails last week, and another one in my DMs that was like, what do you think about fasting by the 16-8 rule? I've got no fucking clue what they're talking about, because I don't look at the fads, the gimmicks, the crap. All I looked at was going, okay, so 16-8, 24 hours in a day, that must mean fasting for 16 hours, eating for 8. All they're doing is shortening the window in which they're eating. And then in theory, guess what? They're having a bit less food. So the principle may well work for some people, and it's not to say that it doesn't. However, if you tried to tell me, right, you can have your first meal of the day at, let's say, 10 a.m., and then you've got to stop eating again by 6 p.m., I would be like, no. That's not going to work for my lifestyle, because I'm still working at 6 p.m. Some content may not be available offline. I don't know what that message meant, but I would struggle. I'm going to be starving to death at 10. Ah, I don't even think any of that's going to be recorded, so I think this was a total waste of time. But anyway, I carry on. Fasting. So 16 by 8. If you told me you could only eat for like 8 hours out of 24, that's going to put me in a really short window. Also, for working women, that's also going to be extremely difficult. Also, for family women, it's going to be extremely difficult. So I just think, although the principle is that you would eat less, and I said to her, how much are you allowed to eat during that window? And she said, as much as you like. It's like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. So you think you can eat as much as you like from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and you would be all good. No, it doesn't work that way. It's essentially the same as skipping meals all of the same. But what it does is lead to binge and restriction cycles. It is literally that principle. That's it. And usually when you think you're starving yourself, like we watched this with Thomas's mum, God bless her, but she'll be like, I haven't eaten anything all day. And we'd be like, hang on, no, you ate that massive scone when we went for coffee. You had a massive scone. And I was like, that scone could have easily been 1,000 calories. And you don't think you've eaten all day, but you've actually had something that's the scone, the cream, the jam, all of the above, but you just have no concept. And I always talk about so the birthday cake Thomas's mum makes, it's either like it's amazing, it is amazing, but it's like 20,000 calories. A slice of that cake, even if you divide it up by 20 people, 1,000 calories, and you would get not that big of a slice, and you suddenly think, no, I've not eaten all day, but you've had 1,000 calories, and then you suddenly have your dinner, and there's your deficit, poof, gone. So this is why educating somebody on accurately tracking, and so many people get tracking wrong, and so many people don't understand the nuances behind tracking. So even when they try and do it alone and without a coach that actually eyeballs what's going on, they usually miss the beat on that as well without realizing. And it's again, it is really sad, but it happens. So but I also think it is hard to teach an old dog new tricks. It is pretty difficult to do that. And I think somebody has to be willing to open their eyes and they've got to be willing to go, well, my way's not working. Your way is working. So maybe I should be the student and allow you to try and actually explain to me why this can work. And when people say they can't believe how much I get to eat, actually, we are eating less. If we're in a deficit, we are definitely eating less. And if we're not losing weight, we're obviously not eating less. Like that's literally, there is no other way to do it. Energy in, which is your calories, energy out, which is your energy output. Now, there could be other pieces of the puzzle. So with Leanne, with your mum, is she doing any movement? She might be highly sedentary. That goes against you. That would mean that your deficit calories would probably be very, very low and unmanageable. Whereas because you are moving a lot, Leanne, obviously you're going to get more bang for your buck in terms of how much you actually get to play with. So it gives you a little bit of a buffer. But again, there's so many parts to it. But I do think some people don't want to learn, and it's a bit like I replied back. They are the generation, unfortunately, that we're Weight Watchers, that we're Slimming World. I spoke with a lady last week again that was talking about, and she didn't come into this. She was a bit like, I think I'm going to leave it for now and just stick with Slimming World. And I'm like, best of luck. Like, you've already told me that's not worked for you for the last however many years you've been doing it, but you can't force somebody to see the light. You can't force somebody to change their entire everything they know to do things differently. So yeah, it can make it really difficult. This is not recording. This was for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you that turned up. You've got a Zoom. No one else has. So I'm gonna have to look into how the hell I'm gonna do this because apparently recording myself on Zoom is not the one. I did a full Zoom earlier for an hour, worked fine. Do it now, not so great. But does anybody that is obviously live in attendance, so I'll have a look at your question, Vicky. I worry about trying to work out sizes when cooking 4 portions. I wouldn't, oh, is it recording? I don't know whether it's going to stay or not. I'm praying by the time I come off this, it will have recorded the whole thing. Even with the blips, obviously they'll come in and out, but I'm praying. Keep everything crossed. Um, I wouldn't stress so hard about the portion sizes at that level. At what I would do, I would probably put all of the ingredients into the app as a meal. And I went through this the other day, so hopefully everyone's picked up on that. But I would put them in as a meal, and then you can obviously just put the size in that you're having, or you can already have divided it up into 4 portions. But I think realistically, if you've included all of those ingredients, everything's in there, and you know it's roughly accurate to either the quarter or the full meal, however you want to do it. And then you've then worked it out into the quarter. I would then be going, okay, I'm roughly having a quarter of this. If I'm spooning out 4 bowls full, it's a bit easier for us because there would only ever be two of us having it. So, realistically speaking, I know I'm roughly eating half, or obviously I've been cutting, so Thomas gets more. You can kind of tell by eyeball, have I roughly got the same amount in my bowl as Thomas or less? But those meals are so low in calories, that's not likely to be the thing that ever really tips you over. It's likely to be the other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're going, right, okay, I can track my carbs because that's usually a lot easier. Something like the shepherd's pie, you can see that you can pretty much cut that in four. For some of the things that are a lot wetter, like the curries, they're so low in calories that even if you went 30 over, that's not going to kill any of your gains. That's not going to be the thing that ever really takes you out of a deficit. So I never want anyone to become that addicted if they're making whole, nutritious foods where you've got a rough, good idea of going, right, this entire dish is 1,200 calories. I'm dividing it up into four. Therefore, I'm having my 300 calories. My rice is tracked, my potatoes are tracked, whatever the other stuff is. If I'm 320 calories or if I'm 295 or even 340, that's not going to matter. So I really don't want you to stress about the small stuff. If it's like good, wholesome foods, don't get that addicted because that's where we start to get into like a dangerous territory. And I just think we're all good on that front. Um, any other questions on that or anything while you've got me? Anything at all? I'm all yours. All yours. Can be form checks, can be app questions, not app questions. I don't like those ones. I know we're going through an update very soon. Some of you have had it, some of you will be having it. So expect some glitches. What else is there? Like anything to do with workout programs, nutrients, steps, anything to do with the time of year as well, because I think there are some people struggling with that little bit of a transition. Like I said, I genuinely think this time of year is still the best. And I think you either get into the mindset of going, oh my God, everything's harder, or you go, actually, I'm going to work through this challenge and I'm going to work with my coach to work through this challenge. Because if we know, we can help you. If we don't know, we can't. So it's just communicate with us and we'll try our best to deal with anything that comes your way. Right, it is officially 11:15 p.m. at night here. So I am going to bounce, but obviously I will be any questions, anything coming through, check-ins. I know it feels weird because I'm doing a Zoom tonight, but obviously they're going to kick off from tomorrow. Please remember 9 a.m. deadline, hard set deadline, and mine could well be spread out across the weekend. Mine might be a little bit more like spread. So just expect that if I'm your primary coach. Obviously, Kat's routine won't be as sporadic as mine, but everyone will definitely have everything by the weekend, guaranteed. So yeah. Right. I will love you and leave you and appreciate you ladies for hopping on at the 11th hour. Anyone watching it back, I know obviously it was last minute, so there's no shade on anyone that couldn't make it. But love you all, and I will see you all soon. Bye, legends. Bye bye.